Yes, hello to you all once again. Welcome back to Classic Dirt Bike TV as we take a look at the continuing racing highlights from the Scottish Classic Motorcycle Racing Club's Round 6 event that was held here at Scratchmere Farm in Penrith. Now we're going to continue now with race 21, which is the pre-77s, over 60s and 65s. And as you can see, Peter Dobinson's made an absolute cracker of a start off the line in that Rickman Triumph machine. As you can see, not a big field of riders for this particular race due to machine breakdowns and maybe even rider breakdowns as we get later on in the day's race programme. The rider numbers do tend to drop away as we get near the final races, but it's Kenny Harper now, number 118 there on the CZ machine, who is your race leader. Peter Dobinson is in second, but it looks like Fergus Moody at number 122 has now taken that place away from Peter. Fergus, of course, riding that lovely Faber BSA. Number 7 there, I think that could be John Walker, who looks like he's riding an old Michael Magnum, maybe a 78 or 79 bike. So that's John Walker there in third position. So as we look to the far side of the racetrack to pick up our race leader, who should be Kenny Harper, number 118 on the Czechoslovakian CZ bike. And as you can see, it's still no rain on this lovely track here at Penrith. The forecast was for rain here at Plumpton in Penrith, but thankfully none of that forecasted rain has materialised. Second place is still at number 122 there, Fergus Moody on the Faber BSA B44 engined machine. This has been quite a good bike for Fergus. He's ridden this bike for many years, and it's certainly taken him to a good few championship wins over the years. So that's Fergus Moody there in second position. And now currently in third place we have number 41 Peter Dobinson, after his cracking start off the line there, but Peter now in third position. Some of these riders will be getting slightly tired by the end of the day. This is of course the over 60s and 65s class. So we're back with our race leader again, number 118 Kenny Harper, one of the committee members who organised that Drumlandrig Castle extravaganza each year. So if you've not already been to that event, then please make a point in going in 2023, because it's one of the best classic race weekends of the year. And it's still number 41 Peter Dobinson in third position on the Rickman Triumph Twin. Peter just giving us a thumbs up there to say so far everything's looking good on this lap. We're back with our race leader once again, Kenny Harper. As I mentioned, not too many riders in this class, but as I said, rider numbers do tend to tail away nearer the end of the racing day, as we look at our second place man, Fergus Moody, number 122. As we're back with our number 7 bike once again, John Walker on the what looks like a 400 or 440 Michael. And I think actually John's possibly moved up into third position in this race, so it looks like Peter Dobinson's been moved back to fourth. But here's our two race leaders as they come round to head towards the checkered flag for the final lap of this race. It's still number 118 Kenny Harper who leads this man here number 122 Fergus Moody. So as they come to cross the finish line, it's a win for Kenny Harper, second Fergus Moody, and it will be John Walker who's going to take that third position. So next up we're going to move on to race 22, which is the pre-1984s over and under 40s and over 60s. So another decent lineup of bikes for this combined class. I'm just waiting on our official starter, Stuart Riddle, letting the bikes loose from the line. It looks like Ryan Glendinning has made another blaster of a start on that 480 Honda. And although this is of course a combined age group in this race, they will of course be placed into their appropriate age groups when they cross the finish line on the last lap. But at the head of the pack right now, it looks like it's number 175. That's Ryan Glendinning, and in second position there, that looks like Daniel Edgar, and it looks like Daniel's riding a borrowed machine in this race. As we take a look at some of the other riders making their way up the hill, the track it's still very dry and quite rutted at this point. Number 327 there, Stuart Muirhead, getting a bit crossed up. I actually thought Stuart was going to run straight into me there and nearly dropped the camera, but it looks like Stuart's okay. So we're back to the front of the pack again. It's still number 175, Ryan Glendinning. Ryan, of course, has been very quick today here at Penrith, but he's had a few little mechanical issues with his 480 Honda, but hopefully Ryan can take the win in this race. But it looks like Daniel Edgar has taken the lead of this race. I think Daniel's riding a bike that belongs to James Neil Jones. It's got 211 James Neil Jones's number on the side, but it's got Daniel in the driving seat there with his Edgar emblem on the back of his race shirt. Ryan Glendinning in second. In third place it was Clark Davidson. As we take a look at number 46, that's Jonathan Bethel riding that big 4-stroke 540 TC Husqvarna. So we're back with our new race leader, Daniel Edgar, who's riding a 250 Honda Red Rocket. So Daniel's our new race leader there. Second position is number 15, that's Clark Davidson, also riding one of these Japanese Honda Red Rocket bikes. So as you can see, the Red Rocket's doing very well here at this round 6 event here at Penrith. But I do hope you've enjoyed all of the racing footage and of course the bikes from the paddock from this round 6 event here at Penrith. And don't forget, if these are the kind of bikes you like to look at here on YouTube, then I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel. So we're looking at our race leader, Daniel Edgar, who, as I said, looks like he's riding a borrowed machine, and I'm sure this is another one of the bikes that we took a look at in the paddock, this number 211 bike. I'm sure that belongs to James Neil Jones. And number 35 there, that's another one of the bikes that we profiled just recently here on Classic Dirt Bike TV. That's John Porteous on his JBR Honda, and that's a bike or a frame that was built by John Hand Racing. But Daniel Edgar certainly got this CR250 Honda Red Rocket hooked up into this Penrith racetrack, doing very well there out in the front, and it looks like that Honda's well suited to the tight turns here at Penrith. There's your second place man there, number 15, Clark Davidson, also riding a Honda. It looks like Ryan Glendinning is still circulating. I think he's possibly in third position at this point. And you've got to wonder how this CR250 two-stroke Honda is getting the better of that big 480 bike of Ryan Glendinning. But Ryan's maybe had a couple of issues in this race, but no such problems for this man here, Daniel Edgar, on his Honda 250. So that's Daniel Edgar heading on his last and final lap of this race. Here's your second placed man, number 15, Clark Davidson. Ryan Glendinning and oops, looks like Ryan's stalled that 480 Honda going into one of the turns, so hopefully Ryan can get this bike fired up again for this last and final lap, but he's certainly on his way once again. But here's your race leader as he heads towards the checkered flag. This has been another cracking ride here by Daniel on this 250 Honda Red Rocket. And Daniel looks like he could quite easily cruise across the finish line now, because he has a decent gap between himself and second place man Clark Davidson. So as he crosses the line, it's a win for Daniel Edgar, and it's going to be this man here, Clark Davidson, who's going to take that second place position. In third, it looks like it's going to be Jonathan Bethel on the Husqvarna, with Ryan Glendinning crossing the line in fourth. So next up, it's race 23. These are the pre-1984 over 50s class. Still quite a decent lineup of riders for this race. It looks like it's number 43. That's Andy Mallock, who has made a fantastic start on that 1983 500 Armstrong machine. So as they start lap one, it looks like it's David Bateman in second position there on the XR 500 Honda, but it's this man here, Andy Mallock, on the Armstrong 500. This is another quite rare bike. You don't see many of these Armstrongs on the tracks these days, but these machines of course have the big 4-stroke Rotax engine in the frame. It looks like it's number 36 who's now moved up into second position. That's John Smith on his 490 Micro, as we take a look at David Bateman, number 156 on the 4-banger Honda. Looks like Chris Cannon is just behind David Bateman there. So as we begin at lap 2, it looks like we've got a change of leader at the front. It's now number 36. That's John Smith, who is your race leader. Number 155 in second position there. That's Andy Barnes, who's also been riding superbly here all day. So Andy Barnes is looking to make a challenge for the lead of this race, but it's still number 36, John Smith, who's in command at the front there on the 490 Micro machine. So as they come into the turn, it's John Smith first, second is Andy Barnes, third is Andy Mallock, fourth is number 81 there, that's Chris Cannon on his RM Suzuki. Chris, of course, is a big Suzuki man. I think this could be his 250 that he's riding at this point. So Chris Cannon doing well on the Suzuki, with Andy Mallock there, number 43, right behind. So as our race leader heads up the hill, it looks like it's now at number 155, Andy Barnes, who is past John Smith for that track position. So Andy Barnes is now in command of this race at the front, number 155 on the 490 Michael. John Smith there, number 36 in second. Chris Cannon is now at third on the RM Suzuki bike. And as we get to the latter stages of this race event here at Penrith, the track is continually being very bumpy and rutted, and there's also some very big stones being kicked up as the bikes make their way around. But here's your race leader as he heads up the hill once again, number 155, Andy Barnes, and you can see that Andy has one of these exhaust expansion chamber protectors on the front of his exhaust there, because it will come in very handy for some of the big stones that are currently being kicked up in this racetrack. But it's Chris Cannon in second position, and number 36 there, John Smith, is now currently in third. So this has been quite a good ride here so far by John Smith on the Michael. John, of course, is one of the many riders who have made a quite long journey from the south of the country to attend this meeting here at Penrith. So a well done to those guys who put in hundreds of miles to make this event. Now, this round 6 event here at Penrith is the Scottish Classic Racing Club's penultimate round of the 2022 championship, with their final event of the year being held at Whitekirk in East Lothian on the 2nd of October, which is a different kind of track. It's a grass type racetrack, but full details of its location and all the entry details are available on the club's website at classicscrambles.com. So we're still with our current race leader, number 155, Andy Barnes, as he crosses the line to complete another racing lap. As we're back with number 43 again, Andy Mallock on the 4-stroke Armstrong bike. Andy's swapped his 250 Montesa to race his Armstrong in this particular race, but it's still this man here, number 155, Andy Barnes, who is in total control of this race. So Andy's well on his way for a possible win in this race. Number 81 again is Chris Cannon on his RM Suzuki, one of the monoshock Suzuki, so that could possibly be an 81 or even an 82 machine that Chris is riding. At number 36 there, I think he's in third place now. That's John Smith on the 490 Michael. So as a race leader heads towards the checkered flag, it's going to be a well-deserved win for this man here, number 155, Andy Barnes, as he crosses the line to take the win. And again, that brings us quite nicely to race number 24. This is the pre-77s, under and over 40s, and the 125 class. So as the riders leave the line, that looks like a good start there by Colin Nelson on the 250 Husqvarna bike. Ian Stainton is looks like he's made a good start as well on the big CCM. But certainly no mistaking the man in front there, number 98, Liston Bell. Liston's riding that big single-cylinder Jawa bike. Number 74 is in second position. Number 254 there is John Miller. Number 109 is Colin Nelson. And number 49 is Ian Marr. And looks like we've got the battle of the Husqvarnas here between number 39, that's Patrick Brown, and number 109, Colin Nelson. So as the riders begin lap 2, it's still number 98, Liston Bell on the Jawa. And once again, because this is a combined age group in this class. They will be all sorted out into their respective age groups when these riders finish the race. But Liston Bell doing very well and heading round the track speedway style on that big Jawa 4-stroke bike. Now this man here, number 74, we couldn't name earlier on, but since then we've found out that his name is Callum Davidson. So apologies, Callum, for not being able to name you earlier on in the previous videos. Number 125 going through there is Ian Stainton. Number 39 on the Husqvarna again is Patrick Brown, being chased by Colin Nelson. And number 49 is Ian Marr, but it's still Liston Bell who's in command of this race at the front. And again, as you can see, the forecasted rain hasn't materialised here at Penrith. In fact, I think it's actually got slightly brighter since then. Number 254 is John Miller just going through. Number 74 again is Callum Davidson, and number 125 is Ian Stainton riding that big 4-stroke CCM bike. And so as the sun makes an appearance momentarily, it's this man here, number 98, Liston Bell, who's at the front of the pack in this race. So looks like Liston's heading for another race win. I think he's already got about 3 or 4 wins under his belt at this point. So Liston's certainly been one of the faster riders here at this round 6 event. As we take a look at the battle for the 125s between number 254 John Miller and number 74 there, Callum Davidson. Both of these riders almost on identical bikes, but it looks like John's went a bit wide on the corner there, so Callum Davidson is now leading the 125 part of this race, with John Miller there in second. So as a race leader heads towards the checkered flag on his last and final lap, it looks like it's going to be another good win here for number 98 Liston Bell on the big 4-stroke Jawa bike. So another win there for Liston Bell. It looks like Callum Davidson is going to cross the line to take the win in the pre-1989 125 class. So once again, apologies to Callum for not being able to put his name to his machine earlier on in the races. So at number 254, John Miller is going to cross the line in third. So next up we move on to race number 25, the pre-77s, over 60s and 65s. And as you can see, a quite depleted field of riders for this race, because as I said, as we get later on in the day's race programme, we do tend to see less and less riders lining up at the start due to bike breakages or even body breakages when riders get a bit more tired. But it's number 118 Kenny Harper who is taking the lead of this race on lap 1. And as you can see, the weather much brighter here at Plumpton in Penrith. Thankfully we've not had any of that dreaded rain that was forecast. So it's Kenny Harper who's your race leader. Second is number 122 Fergus Moody on that Faber BSA bike. Third position is number 41 Peter Dobinson, a local man from this area. So Peter still doing quite well in this veterans over 60s and 65s class. And once again, thanks to all of my video subscribers who have taken the time to comment on these video postings, and I do hope you're enjoying all of this racing footage from Penrith, because it does take a few days to put each of these videos together, but it's all well worth it when you see the final product. And we're back with our second placed position rider, Fergus Moody, number 122, on that BSA with the Faber frame and the chassis. So Fergus doing very well on his B44 engined BSA there. So Fergus Moody there, number 122. And currently in third place is number 41, Peter Dobinson, on his Rickman Triumph Twin. Not the lightest of bikes to throw around these bumpy racetracks, but Peter still circulating and doing very well in third position. But it's this man here who seems to have been the star of this particular class here at Penrith, number 118, Kenny Harper. And that CZ that Kenny's riding, of course, is not a fully original bike, but very few of these Czechoslovakian CZs are these days. But as I mentioned, a quite depleted field of riders for this race. I think it's only 4 riders taking part in this race, but when you consider that these are the veterans of this racing class, and these guys have had 6 races here at Penrith, it's quite a long drawn out process if you're not physically fit, so it's not surprising that many of these guys are a bit slower as the day goes on. So we're looking at our second place man there, number 122, Fergus Moody. So that's our race leader there, number 118, Kenny Harper, as he crosses the line to begin his last and final lap of this race. Number 41 is Peter Dobinson again in third position. So this has been a very good afternoon for Peter, because he's managed to finish all 6 races that he's taken part in. So it's quite a good result for Peter. But this has been a much better afternoon for this man here, Kenny Harper, on, I think that's a 360 CZ that Kenny's riding. So it looks like Kenny's going to notch up another race win as he heads towards that checkered flag. So it's going to be a win for Kenny Harper, number 118. It's going to be Fergus Moody who's going to cross the line in second, and Peter Dobinson is going to take third. So that nicely brings us on to race 26, which is the pre-1984s over and under 40s class, and this of course is the penultimate race of this round 6 event here at Penrith. So we're just waiting on our chief starter, Stuart Riddle, letting the bikes loose from the line. So as the riders make their way on lap 1, I think that's Michael Tweddle, who's made a very good start there. So as the riders make their way up the hill, now that bike in front there, that's Michael Tweddle, but this time round Michael's using a borrowed bike from Andy Barnes, and you can see that Michael's got Andy Barnes' number 155 on the side, but it's Michael Tweddle in the driving seat in first position. Whoops, looks like it's number 139 there, that's Craig Holmes, who looks like he's dropped his Honda, but he's back up and running once again. Number 15 is Clark Davidson's bike, but I'm not sure that that's Clark that's riding that bike. That looked like it could be Callum Davidson riding that number 15 machine. But at the front of the pack, it looks like it's number 211. That's Daniel Edgar, who's your race leader. Daniel again riding a bike that I think's been borrowed from James Neil Jones with that number 211 on the side, and Daniel has his normal race number at number 40 on the back of his race shirt. So it looks like Daniel Edgar is our new race leader. Daniel, as you can see, is super quick on this 250 Honda Red Rocket. He did very well there in that previous race, and looks like he's well on his way to a possible race win here. And of course, that man there is Michael Tweddle in second position, riding Andy Barnes's 480 Honda. But it just gives you an idea of just how competitive these Honda 250 Red Rockets were when they were introduced to the UK in the late 1970s. When these Red Rockets came to the racetracks of the UK, they were the world had certainly never seen anything like it before, and Honda at that point just couldn't make enough of those 250 Red Rockets. So we're back with our number 15 bike. There is in fact two number 15s taking part in this race, but that's Clark Davidson's Honda, but I'm pretty sure that that could be Callum Davidson that's in the driver's seat. Number 37 there is David Herdman on that white 250 Honda Red Rocket. But I have to say, this man here has been riding absolutely superbly all day, and Daniel's certainly not put a wheel out of place in all of the races that he's taken part in. So that's your race leader, Daniel Edgar. As we take a look at number 139, that's Craig Holmes on his Honda. Looks like Craig's up and running once again after dropping his Honda into one of the corners. Now, of course, here at Classic Dirt Bike TV, we don't just feature these type of classic racing events. We also do profiles on some of those long-lost classic scramble bikes from back in the day. So if you're into your vintage and classic dirt bikes, then Classic Dirt Bike TV is certainly the place to see them, because we do have some really nice bikes coming up during the closed racing season. Well, this has been another very dominant performance from Daniel Edgar on the Honda 250 Red Rocket. And when Daniel crosses the line this time round, that he will be beginning his last and final lap of this race. Of course, we have 27 races in total, so that means only one race left to go, and I do hope you've enjoyed all of the bikes and this racing footage from the Scottish Classic Round 6 event here at Penrith. So as our race leader comes round to begin his last and final lap, it doesn't look like there's going to be any challengers to Daniel Edgar's lead as he crosses the line to begin his final lap. So this has been a very good ride here by this talented twin shock rider. So just one or two turns still to go to secure another race win for Daniel Edgar on that what looked like a borrowed bike from James Neil Jones. I'm sure this is one of the bikes that we took a look at in the paddock video. A lovely little CR250 Honda Red Rocket. So as he comes towards the checkered flag, it's another win for at number 211, Daniel Edgar. And that quite nicely takes us on to the final race of the day, race 27 for the pre-1984s over 50s class. And as you can see, the sun beginning to shine here at Penrith. So thankfully that rain that was forecast never appeared, and it's been a fantastic day's racing here at Scratchmere Farm. So as they leave the line, Andy Mallock's made another good start on the big 500 4-stroke Armstrong bike. So as our front runners begin at lap 1, it's number 43, Andy Mallock from Burrelton in Angus in Scotland. And Andy's, as I said, riding that 4-stroke Rotax powered Armstrong machine. Second position looks like it's Peter Carr there, number 26. Chris Cannon is in third. Looks like Andy Barnes is in fourth. But it looks like Peter Carr's now taking the lead of this race with Andy Mallock second. Chris Cannon is now third. Andy Barnes is in fourth position. I think that's John Smith, number 36, who is in fifth as they finish at lap 1. Now Peter Carr's been another one of the outstanding riders here at this round 6 event, and Peter again is riding one of these Honda 250 red rocket bikes, so it looks like Peter's off to a cracking start here in this race. Second place is now Chris Cannon. Third is that man there, number 155. It's Andy Barnes on the 490 Michael. So it's Chris Cannon's 250 Suzuki versus this man here, number 155, Andy Barnes' 490 Michael Mega 2. So as you can see, Andy Barnes has made short work of blasting past Chris's smaller engined Suzuki, but it's this man here, number 26, Peter Carr, who is beginning already to stretch a lead on his pursuers in second and third position. But Andy Barnes there looks like he's certainly moved up the pecking order there, and he's now in second position, and it looks like he's going to have a go at Peter Carr's 250 Honda. And of course you'd expect these bigger engined machines to get the better of the smaller 250s in this quite long and wide open racetrack here at Penrith. So Andy Barnes is now taking the lead of this race on the 490 Michael, and it's Peter Carr in second position. So as the sun begins to shine in this last and final race here at this round 6 event at Penrith, it's number 155, Andy Barnes on the 490 Michael, who is currently in the lead of this race, and Andy's already beginning to open up a gap on Peter Carr there in second position on the Honda 250. But you have to say that the racing conditions here at Penrith have been absolutely fantastic all day. They may be a bit rutted and stony in the latter stages here, but it's certainly been perfect conditions for these bikes to race as we take a look at number 43, Andy Mallock on the 500 Armstrong machine. So we're back with Andy Barnes again, number 155, your current race leader, but I do hope you've enjoyed all of the bikes and racing footage from this round 6 event here at Penrith. As I said, the Scottish Classic Club do have one final race event left to close their 2022 racing season, and that will be at Whitekirk in East Lothian on the 2nd or 3rd of October. So maybe if you're looking for a race event to close your racing season, then you can find all of the details of that event at the Classic Club's race website at classicscrambles.com. But again, this has been another cracking ride here by Andy Barnes on the 490 Michael as he comes round to begin his last and final lap of this final race of the day here at Plumpton and Penrith. So Andy Barnes crossing the line to begin his last and final lap. It's still Peter Carr here, number 26, who is currently in second position. Chris Cannon on the RM Suzuki is in third spot. So as a race leader makes his way up the hill for the very last time and his last lap, it looks like it's going to be another dominant win by number 155 Andy Barnes on the Michael. But as I said, if these are the kind of bikes you like to look at here on YouTube, then I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel. So as he makes his way across the finish line, it's another win for Andy Barnes, number 155, and just coming into shot now will be our second place man Peter Carr, and it's going to be number 81 Chris Cannon who crosses the line in third.